Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Grigorovich. Today I am going to be talking about a different way to see and understand your stress. I think this is really important right now just because everything is kind of increasing in stress level, but yet we're still expected to act as we were before everything kind of changed for us this year. So hoping that if you guys watch this or when you do watch it, that it helps you see stress in a different way. So, what is stress? So, essentially, I want you guys to start thinking of this in terms of like science and everything else. Stress is just strain or pressure, tension that can be experienced by anything. So, some of the things that affect the types of stress that we experience or see. For physical objects, it's their weight, the speed that they're moving at, any momentum that they're carrying will impact the level of stress. For humans, some examples of this would be physical stress, which is exercise and lifting things and moving things around, or emotional stress, which is like getting into uncomfortable situations, feeling nervous, excited, can be stressful sometimes. And then when we are speaking, we can also show stress using tone, volume, our word choice, and the language that we're speaking into. So those are just some evidence of stress that is all around us. So I want you guys to keep in mind that stress is what keeps bridges and buildings up and from falling. So if you guys have already taken a class on physics or you're planning on it, you're going to learn a little bit more about how stress can be used in really awesome ways to keep buildings from falling down. Um, Stress is also what creates strength in our muscles. So when you think of sports and exercising, you have to develop strength by using and creating stress for those muscles so that they can build muscle over the tears that happen. So when you start feeling that burning when you're doing squats or when you're running, your muscles are usually or actually ripping apart and then healing back together. And that's that stiffness that you feel like the day after a really hard workout. So stress is what creates strength in our muscles. And it's also just the force that creates movement. So when you're pushing the shopping cart at Target, that is a form of stress. You're putting stress upon the shopping cart to get it to move. So when you think of that, how everything, even inanimate objects, are affected by stress, it's really good to recognize that everyone has their own personal stress meter. Um, so whenever you get asked things like, well, how are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Formally, that's called your standard units of distress. So that's just kind of like a fancy term for it. But essentially, it's the fact that everyone has their own scale of 1 to 10, and it doesn't always mean that my 1 to 10 is your 1 to 10. I'll get into that a little bit more. So, your stress scale actually looks like this, and everyone's scale looks different, and your 7 is definitely different than my 7. So, that 1 to 3 is like that green good place. If you have ever heard of zones of regulation, that's what I'm using here with the colors, is that green is kind of that calm zone, yellow is that things are just kind of uncomfortable, a little bit of stress there, and red is like unsafe. Okay. Depending on your life and the experiences you've had growing up, and the people that you're friends with, and the job that you have, and all the things in your life, um, all those experience will give you a different threshold to tolerate different amounts of stress. So there's one thing that to really remember is there's really no such thing as zero level stress. If you have zero level stress, what that means is you've really studied meditation to the point that you can clear your mind and soul to the point that you're not experiencing emotion. Um, but so just remember there's always some form of stress because It's the stress that gets us to do stuff. So levels 1, 2, 3 is what you would call like your good days, or things where you feel like nothing is really wrong. Some people are normally in this range, but other people might like rarely be in this space, right? So that's one thing to note is where you fall on your scale can differ person to person, and there is no right or wrong rhyme or reason to why we fall on our scales where we do. Okay, so for a couple moments here, I want you to think of the last time you were in stress level 1 to 3. And yeah, just kind of, if you want, you can put it in the comments when you were in that stress level. For me, I'd have to say probably a couple months ago when my family was visiting. So yeah. Okay. So stress level 4 to 7 is the place where we at on our scale where we can still function, that we know we can feel the stress and it's making us really uncomfortable, but we're still functioning. So this is important because most of us are usually in this range. And all of that is regular stress and regular nervousness and regular anxieties. And the important thing about this is that we're still able to function. We're still able to talk to our friends. We're still able to talk to the people that we like to talk to. That's kind of what that means, is that you're still at a functioning level. So important thing, phases or levels 1 through 7, you're still really functioning. 4 through 7, you really feel that stress. You can feel it somewhere. But you're still able to get some work done at least. Now, the amount of work you get done at level 4 is going to be very different than the amount of work you get done at 7. So, but the main thing is you're doing something usually. So I want you guys to take a quick moment here to just reflect or think of the last time you were in stress levels 4 through 7. For me, this is where I've been really since COVID hit, at least since COVID came to affect our communities. I've really just been hovering in more of the 6 to 7 range and still functioning, and I'll drop down to 4 for a couple days, but then things will pick back up. So take a quick moment here, type in the comments if you're comfortable when the last time you were in stress level 4 to 7. Otherwise, yeah, just reflect on that. Okay, 8, 9, and 10. This is where things get intense, is the only word I have for it. This is where we're no longer able to function. So some common physical actions that we take when this hits is yelling, end up not talking, we get physical with people, and some people start to avoid everyone. And this is when we make unsafe and unexpected choices. So biggest difference, that jump over from 7 to 8. Once you're in level 8, that's when you're making unsafe choices, like refusing to answer phone calls, refusing to eat, or not really thinking about eating, poor hygiene. So when we don't do our regular routine anymore, like if you shower every other day, but then you start showering only once a week, that's all unsafe because it can lead to different health conditions. So some people's norm is in this range, and some people might have never been in this range. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that regardless of your position in the scale, all of it is regular. Okay, so again, you know you're in this range when you can no longer hear, or not literally hear, but when you no longer want to listen to people who are trying to help you and the advice that they're giving. Some common emotion words used in this range are when you start thinking or saying that you're feeling numb, or if you're in a rage or you're anguished. Sometimes when people are so happy, they also fall into the shutdown meltdown range because they're not listening to anyone anymore except themselves. So again, when you hit 8, 9, and 10, that's when the emotion is so intense that you're not functioning at your regular, your day-to-day stuff. Okay, so now we're just going to take a quick moment to think of the last time we were in stress level 8 to 10. This has been tough. Definitely in end of May was one of the times where I was in this stress level um, when a lot of turmoil around our communities were really hitting and kind of hover in there like very quick moments throughout the week where there'll just be like a burst of like an hour where I'll be in this level, but otherwise, mostly I'm able to reset back into the 4 through 7 range. Okay. So then just for yourself, kind of think of what stress level you're at, and that will help you kind of get through with your day. So I want to thank you guys for being present with me today and listening to what I have to say about different stress levels. Hopefully this helps you kind of think differently about stress and its importance in our lives. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me with your school email or give me a text or a call. Thanks. Bye.